Hey friends, how about we make a trip to the forest, gather some mushrooms, and I show you how to create a stunning lamp with the toodles, berries, and flowers. Get comfy and relax. My name is Natalia Rumina and I'm here to teach you the magic of resin. So let's start. Making the mushrooms or any other piece with the mushrooms begins with the proper collections. Make sure to bring some containers with you. If you are using plastic one, lay the bottom with the soft paper to protect the mushrooms. Cardboard box work even better, and for tiny mushrooms, I use an egg carton. It's perfect. Clean off any excess dry right there in the forest. Now, what's the best way to dry mushrooms? I like to sort them by size and shape. Large mushrooms go separately in the silica gel. Medium size one go into a dehydrator. Small mushrooms area dry on cardboard. And here's what I've noticed. Mushroom dries in silica gel becomes denser and sturdier. Those dry in the dehydrator keep their color. It's super cool. If left to area dry naturally, they tend to get brighter and fragile. For the best results, with the silica gel, pour a thin layer at the bottom of your container, then place the mushrooms inside without letting them touch each other or the container walls. Then cover the mushrooms completely with the silica gel and leave them to dry for 6 and 9 days. If you're using a dehydrator like me, set it to 50 degrees and dry them for 5-6 hours. I store my dried mushrooms in cardboard box as well. Now for the best part, assembling the composition. You can arrange your little forest skin with the mushrooms on a wooden slab or bark. At the end of the lesson, I show you some my student works for inspiration. I ordered semi-round wood slab, calibrate, level it, and sand it, and will be building my skin on it. First, I attach a string line to the base. I recommend choosing one with a steady wipe and good battery pack. I went with the outdoor light for better durability. To secure it, I use UV resin from company Resin Pro, and I have promo code NATIROOM to get 10% discount. And you can use hot gun glue, apply small dots of glue so it won't be visible on the resin is pouring. Wear gloves while working with the hot glue to avoid burns. Once the lights are in place, it's time to build the composition. You can arrange everything beforehand to visual the layout. It's make the process much easier. The goal is to hide the string light and create deep in the lamp. I start by attaching the taller mushrooms in the background. At the base, I add moss, bark, dried branches, wheat stalks, and berries. I also order a teeny clay snails for the artist and place them on the mushrooms for extra detailing. Before working on a project like this, I always look for inspiration in Pinterest. Forest photos, mushroom paintings, different color palettes. For the background, I glue a small penny brushes, then I dry it by pressing them flat between cardboard sheet. Now let's move on to the resin. You can either build your own mold framework. I have a tutorial for that, link in the description, or buy one. I got my mold from AliExpress. It has 5 centimeters high edges. I also leave link in the description. And important, friends, before pouring resin, you need to secure your arrangement in place. If you pour everything at once, the pieces will float the surface. This appears to flowers, shells, dried fruits, and anything else. Start by attaching everything to a thin resin base before adding volume. I use for that resin from Resin Pro also. It has 5 centimeters high, that ones. And friends, always check if your string light are working while you're assembling and before placing the composition into the mold. Before that, I coat the wood with a thin layer of resin from Resin Pro. If there are any large holes or gaps, it's best to fill them in advance using either UV resin or regular resin. I plait the composition face down so that the wires stay on top. I also have a tutorial where I do it face up, so check that out too. Once everything is set, let it cure. Read the resin instructions carefully to know the exact curing time. Once the first layer is fully hardened, you can pour the rest of the resin. To reduce bubbles, warm part A by placing the sealant bottle in the hot water or near a heater before mixing. Mix thoroughly and pour the resin slow down a spatula. See how I place it at an angle? This method helps minimize bubbles. For deep pouring, up to 5 centimeter, I use Resin Pro. After pouring, let it cure completely. Then it's time for sanding and polishing. Or you can apply a finish coat, with which I show in another tutorial. And for sanding, I use a sanding machine with a fabric bucket disc. Don't use paper bucket ones, they fall up when wet. After each disc, I wipe the surface with a soft, damp cloth. Once I reach 600 discs, I add water and continue sanding all the way up to 4000 grit disc. Then I switch to a polish machine. Before polishing, make sure the table is damp and wipe down the place so no dust or debris gets trapped under the pad. Otherwise, you're scratching the surface, your epoxy resin, and have to start over. And just look at this beautiful result. You can do it too, I'm sure of it. All it takes is desire and practice. And I show you exactly how to do it. Want to learn even more? On my Patreon and private courses, I have step-by-step process, materials link, and full support of my students. Check it out, get inspired by their work, and most importantly, create your own little world. Have a nice day. Bye.